की जय। नित्यल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टतर शतशिमार भक्ति वेदांत नारायण गोसाई महाराज श्रील गुरुदेव की जय। नित्यल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टतर शतशिमार श्रील भक्ति वेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जय। नित्यल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टतर शतशिमार भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्यल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टतर शतशिमार भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोसाई महाराज की जय। नित्यल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टतर शतशिमार भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोसाई प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्यल प्रविष्ट महाभागवत श्रील गौरकिशोरदास बाबूजी महाराज की जय। नित्यल प्रविष्ट वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबूजी महाराज की जय। श्री रूपानुगौर्य गुरु वर्ग की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्टदास रघुनाथ शारद गोसाई प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गौर पार्षद वृंद की जय। नाम चय श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल ब्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट विदात गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंद श्याम कुंद की जय। श्री मुन देवी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योग माया की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय राधिकाय प्रियात्मने श्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्त नारायणेति नामिने। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकायै तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। यं प्रव्रजन्तमनुपेतमपेतकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुस्तं सर्वभूत हृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शृण्वतं स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तन हृदन्तस्तो ह्यभद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सतम्। नष्टप्रयेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भगवतसेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। तवैवास्मि न जीवामि त्वया विना इति विज्ञाय राधे त्वां नायमां चरणान्तिकम्। भक्त्या विहीना अपराधलक्षाय क्षिप्ताष्टकामादितराङ्गमध्ये कृपामयि त्वां शरणं प्रपन्ना वृन्दे नमस्ते चरणारविन्दं। भज श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haribo Satyamataji, Dandavat Pranams, Jai Jagannath. Huh, that's strange. Usually there's more people here by now. It's only me and you right now. I wonder if it's playing on Facebook. Let's see. Yeah, it seems to be playing. Okay. All right, so then let's begin. Also, Dandavat Pranams to Indira Mataji, who is in the New Braj Festival. She's been joining these readings since the very beginning. Oops, wrong book. Yeah, and let's see, where are we? Yeah, we're nearly at the end. Only day after tomorrow we should be finishing. Okay, you're ready? Yes, let's begin. Oops, wrong book. Okay, Bhagavat Pravaha. Okay, so I don't need to recap this part when, whatever, I'll do it. I'll give more time for people to join also. So hearing about the Markandeya Purana, Shonaka asked Sutta about Markandeya Rishi, who survived in the water of annihilation and saw the Supreme Lord on a banyan leaf. Sutta Goswami gladly narrated as follows. Markandeya Rishi, the author of the Markandeya Purana, appeared in the clan of Bhrigu Rishi. Remaining as a celibate, he strictly studied under his guru and worshipped the Supreme Lord with austerities for 6 long manvantars. During the 7th manvantar, Indra, being afraid of his austerities, sent Cupid to distract him. But Cupid, along with his singers, dancing girls, spring, breezes, greed, and intoxication personified, they all could not agitate the mind of Markandeya. To bestow mercy on Markandeya, the Supreme Lord appeared before him in the forms of Nara and Narayan. Markandeya exhibited ecstatic symptoms upon seeing them and offered heartfelt prayers. Satisfied by Markandeya's austerities, long celibacy, and study of the Vedas, Lord Narayan told him to ask for a benediction. Markandeya said, "O Lord, I am fully satisfied seeing you. Still, I desire to see how your Maya bewilders the world." Markandeya certainly had no desire to enjoy sense gratification in Maya, yet he was curious to see how the Lord's Maya operated. The Lord didn't very much appreciate such a curiosity in his devotee, yet to fulfill Markandeya's desire, he granted the benediction with a smile and departed. Markandeya remained in his ashram meditating on the Lord. One day, while Markandeya was performing his evening worship, a great wind suddenly arose. It brought clouds that rained heavily. Then he saw the oceans swallowing the surface of the earth from 4 sides. All the living beings were tormented by winds, waves, and lightning. The water inundated the entire universe with all of its mountains, and Markandeya alone remained, floating in the waters of the devastation. Troubled by hunger and wind, he was swept by the deluge for millions of years. His mind was thus bewildered by Maya, whose functions he had desired to witness. Oops. While being swirled around by the deluge, Markandeya discovered a small island which had a young banyan tree. On its branch, he saw an infant boy lying within a leaf. His effulgence swallowed up all darkness. The infant took hold of one of his lotus feet with his graceful hands, placed his big toe within his mouth, and began to suck. Seeing the child, Markandeya's wariness vanished, and he experienced ecstasy. As he approached the child with curiosity, the child inhaled him within his body. To the perplexity of the sage, he saw the entire universe, along with his own hermitage, within the body of the child. Then the infant exhaled, expelling the sage from his body, casting him back into the ocean of dissolution. Markandeya found himself again lost in the waves of the devastating waters. After a long time, he again saw the child on the leaf and hastily approached to embrace him. At that moment, the Lord became invisible to the sage. As the Lord disappeared, Markandeya found himself back in his own hermitage. Having experienced the work of the illusory energy of the Lord by going through annihilation of the cosmos, Markandeya took shelter of the Lord. After the extraordinary experience, as sage Markandeya was absorbed in meditation, Lord Shiva himself proceeded to meet Markandeya in order to associate with the saintly devotee. Actually, as Parvati said, right? We should go. Oh. Hari Bol, Madhavi Didi, and Raseshwari Mataji, and Pradyumna Prabhu, and Gargaraj ji, Dandavat pranams to all of you. Okay. And Mantra Murti Mataji. One second, I forgot actually exactly what point we read up to last time. Let me just open this up. I think we read up to verse 20. Let's see. Yeah, I think we read up to verse 20 in chapter 11. Okay. Okay, so Lord Shiva himself proceeded to meet Markandeya in order to associate with the saintly devotee. Shiva had to enter the meditation of Markandeya in order to bring him out of trance. Markandeya praised Lord Shiva, who then smiled and said, "O Rishi, please ask me for some benediction. The holy rivers and the demigods purify only after considerable time. But by hearing or seeing you, even the worst sinners and social outcasts are purified immediately. What to speak of directly speaking to you?" Shiva's nectarian words vanquished Markandeya's exhaustion caused by wandering in the devastating waters created by Maya. He spoke to Shiva. "Having seen you, what other benediction can I ask for? Yet I ask for unfailing devotion for the Supreme Lord and for his dedicated devotees, especially for you." Shiva, granting his desire, said, "May you have knowledge of past, present, and future, transcendental realization of the Lord, renunciation, and the post of a guru of the Puranas." Okay, so now we are on a chapter about the Vibhutis of the Lord. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so the previous chapter ended, "O best of the Brigus, this account concerning Markandeya is infused with the potency of the Supreme Lord. Anyone who properly narrates or hears it will never again undergo material existence composed of impressions of karma." Then we begin chapter 11. We read up to 20, I think. So, "O Sutta, Shaunaka said, 'O Sutta, you are a great devotee of the Supreme Lord, and you know the conclusions concerning Tantra. We now inquire from you about that.'" Now I'm just going to read this one commentary. In the 11th chapter, the Angas and Upangas and the Vibhutis, the opulences for worship. Okay, wait. Oh, shoot. What was Anga and Upanga? Okay. So Anga refers to the hands, feet, and other limbs of the Lord, and Upanga refers to the associates of the Lord like Garuda. Okay, so in this chapter, it's so annoying how they don't give definitions for words lots of times. So in the 11th chapter, the Angas, so the various limbs of the Lord, and Upangas, the Lord's various associates, and the Vibhutis, the Lord's different majesty, opulences, all these for worship are described, as well as the 12 expansions of the sun. Markandeya, our previous master, was expert in tantric worship of the Lord. We ask you about this now. We ask about the method of worship by which he made the Lord visible. Radante means in this conclusion. Okay. So Shonak continued, speaking to Sutta Goswami. All good fortune to you. Please explain to us, please explain to us who are very eager to learn the process of Kriya Yoga, worship of Vishnu and Lakshmi, by which method the followers of Tantra conceive of the limbs, associates, weapons, and ornaments of the Lord in terms of certain Vibhutis, and by which expertise one attains immortality. Sutta Goswami said, offering obeisances to my gurus, I shall repeat to you the description of the Vibhutis of Lord Vishnu given in the Vedas and Tantras by great authorities, beginning from lotus-born Brahma. That form of the Lord is the universal form composed of the 9 basic elements of creation, starting with the unmanifest nature and their subsequent transformations. When it is instilled with consciousness, the 3 planetary systems become visible within it. And then in the commentary here it says, the form of the Lord conceived by the Vibhutis, the Lord's opulences, is actually the universal form. The form is composed of 9 elements, this universal form: Prakriti, Sutra, Mahatattva, Ahankar, and the 5 Tanmatras, as well as 16 transformations, the 11 senses and 5 gross elements. Okay. This is the representation of the Supreme Lord as the universal person, in which the earth is his feet, the Antariksha his navel. So Antariksha is space. Why don't they give... Let me just look this up. Antariksha is the celestial space, outer space, the cosmos, the sky, heavens. There's no reason they needed to keep it in Sanskrit there. Anyways, so, okay. So the earth is his feet, the Antariksha is his navel, the heavenly planets his head, the sun his eyes, the air his nostrils, the directions his ears, the Prajapati his genitals, death his anus, and the moon his mind. The Devata protecting the various planets is his many arms. The god of death is his eyebrows. Shame his lower lip, greed his upper lip, delusion his smile, and moonlight his teeth. The trees are the Lord's bodily hairs, and the clouds are the hair on his head. So this is not the Lord's Swarup. This is just the material form of the Lord, but not his actual Swarup. Just as one can determine the dimensions of an ordinary person of this world by measuring his various limbs, one can determine the dimensions of the universal form by measuring the arrangement of the planetary systems. Upon his chest, the almighty unborn Lord bears the Kaustuba gem, which represents the pure spirit soul, along with the Śrīvatsa mark, which is the direct manifestation of this gem's expansive effulgence. The Lord holds his servants on his heart. So the Kaustuba gem represents the jivas, and the Lord keeps these jivas on his heart. Sundar Gopal, I remember in his presentation, he mentioned an amazing verse by Jiva Goswami on this topic of the Kaustuba gem and the jivas. But maybe we can find it later. His flower garland is his material energy, comprising various combinations of the modes of nature. His yellow garment is the Vedic meters, and his sacred thread, the syllable Om, is the syllable Om composed of 3 sounds, A, U, M. In the form of his 2 shark-shaped earrings, the Lord supports the processes of Sankhya and Yoga, and his crown, bestowing fearlessness on the inhabitants of all the worlds, is the supreme position of Brahmaloka. Ananta, the Lord's sitting place, is Pradhan, the creation. And the Lord's lotus throne is the mode of goodness, endowed with religion and knowledge. The club the Lord carries is the chief element prana, incorporating the potencies of sensory, mental, and physical strength. His excellent conch shell is the element water. His Sudarshan disc, the element fire. And his sword, pure as a sky, the element ether. His shield embodies the mode of ignorance. His bow, named Sharanga, embodies time. And his arrow-filled quiver, the working sensory organs. His arrows are said to be the senses, and his chariot is the active, forceful mind. His external appearance is the subtle objects of perception, and the gestures of his hands are the essence of all purposeful activity. The sun globe is the place where the devatas worship the Supreme Lord. Spiritual initiation is the means of purification for the spirit soul, and rendering devotional service to the Lord is the process for eradicating all one's sinful reactions. Playfully carrying a lotus, which represents the various qualities designated by the word bhaga, the Supreme Lord accepts service from a pair of chamar fans, which are religion and fame. O Brahmanas, the Lord's umbrella represents the fearlessness found in Vaikuntha, and Garuda, who carries the Lord of Sacrifice, is the sacrifice mentioned in the 3 Vedas. Okay, I think this is where we were up to, right? Just in case, I'm just going to read this verse, because I can't. Atapatram tu vaikuntam dvijadhama kuto bhayam trivridveda suparnakyo yagyam vahati purusham. O Brahmanas, the Lord's umbrella represents the fearlessness found in Vaikuntha, and Garuda, who carries the Lord of Sacrifice, is the sacrifice mentioned in the 3 Vedas. Whatever small amount of fearlessness is seen in the world is the Vibhuti of the Lord's umbrella. Garuda is the performance of sacrifice explained in the 3 Vedas, Rig, Yajur, and Sama. Okay. Let me just check everything's running okay. Looks like it. Haribo Surevididi. I think I already saw you, right? Yeah. Okay. So, what am I doing? Oh yeah, I wanted to check the sound. Okay, looks like it's on. Anapayini Bhagavati Shri Saksharatmano Hare Vishvakshenas Tantramurtir Vidhita Parshadadhipa Nandadayoštodvastascha te nimadya harer guna. Shri, who never leaves the Lord's side, appears with him in this world as the representation of his internal potency. Vishvaksena, the chief among his personal associates, is known to be the personification of the Pancharatra and other tantras. And the Lord's 8 doorkeepers, headed by Nanda, are his mystic perfections, beginning with Anima. Anima is becoming smaller than the smallest, smaller than an atom. Sārārtha-darśinī commentary by Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura. Lakshmi is the eternal Shakti arising from the Lord's Swarup. The Vibhuti of the Hladini Shakti is represented in this world by the bliss of Swarga, etc. The Pancharatra scriptures are the Vibhuti of Vishvaksena. The doorkeepers, such as Nanda, are the qualities like Anima. Vasudeva Sankarshana Pradyumna Purusha Swayam Aniruddha iti Brahman Murti Vyuho Bhidhiyate. Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha are the names of the direct personal expansions of Swayam Bhagavan, O Brahman Shonaka. Sārārtha-darśinī. After mention of the doorkeepers, the presiding deities of the directions, the Chaturvyuha, are now mentioned. Purusha Swayam should mean Swayam Bhagavan. Sa vishvas taijasa pragyas turiya iti vrittibhi artendriyashaya jnanar Bhagavan paribhavyate. One can conceive of the Supreme Lord in terms of awakened consciousness, dreaming, deep sleep, and spiritual consciousness, by knowledge gained through external objects, the senses, and the mind. Sārārtha-darśinī. This explains the vibhutis of the Chaturvyuha. The senses and mind are endowed with impressions. I slept happily. I was not even aware of happiness. In this example, even in deep sleep, there is ignorance and knowledge caused by impressions of the mind and senses. By knowledge through the senses, minds, and objects, in the states of waking, sleeping, deep sleep, and the fourth state, the Lord is remembered. The four states are vibhutis of the Chaturvyuha. Vasudeva represents the waking state. Sankarshan represents the dreaming. Pradyumna represents deep sleep. Aniruddha represents the fourth state of knowledge. Angopanga yudha kalpar bhagavangstach chatushtayam bibharti sma chaturmurtir bhagavan haririshvara. The Supreme Lord, the Master of the four states, who removes suffering for those who worship him, as his four expansions, each exhibiting his limbs, associates, weapons, and ornaments, maintains the four phases of existence. Sārārtha-darśinī. The implied meaning is made clear. These four arms, with their limbs, associates, weapons, and ornaments, maintain the four states of consciousness. The vibhuti of Vasudeva, along with his limbs, associates, etc., is the waking state. Hari is the Lord who removes the suffering of his worshippers. Ishvar means the controller of four states. It's all a bit esoteric. Dvijarishabhasa esha Brahma yoni swayam drik swamahima paripurno mayaya cha swayaitat srijati harati pate tyakyayana vritaksho vivrita iva niruktas tatparar atmalabhya. The Lord is the revealer of the Vedas, and he reveals himself. He is full in his own powers, but by his Maya, he creates, maintains, and destroys through Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Though his knowledge is never covered, it appears he can be described by Maya. But this is not so. He is attained only by his devotees. Sārārtha-darśinī. Four forms were explained. Now 3 forms are explained. O best of the Brahmanas, this Lord reveals the Vedas, Brahmayoni. No one else is a revealer. He is self-revealed, Swayamdrik. He is not like a king who is dependent on his subjects, and he is complete in his own power. But for his play, he creates, maintains, and destroys by his Shakti called Maya, represented by Brahma and others. Though his knowledge is never covered, it appears he is described or explained by Maya. But actually, even Brahma cannot describe the Lord properly. For what purpose do people make such effort? Has he gone to so much effort? His devotees attain him by meditating on him in this form. How do the devotees meditate upon him? By seeing and remembering the Vibhutis of his feet, such as earth, etc., one can easily remember the Lord's feet. I should always remember my Lord, and I always see his Vibhuti of my Lord's feet, the earth. All the animals and plants which take shelter of the earth also have taken shelter of my Lord's lotus feet. Therefore, I must respect them all and not hate them. The Vibhuti of the Kaustuba hanging on the chest of my Lord are all the jivas. Therefore, I should not criticize or harm even one of them. This is the result of contemplating the universal form. Wow, that's really nice. Wow, this is such a nice... I want to save this. How do I save it? Okay, so this is really important. This is how we meditate on the universal form. I'm just saving this. I'll share it in our Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam group. Yeah. Okay, what's the meter for this? Shri Krishna Krishna Saka Vrish Nyarish. Oh God, how do you do that? Why or the Ri? Anyways. Shri Krishna Krishna Saka Vrish. I can't do this. Vrish Nyarisha Bhavan. Whatever. Rishabhavani Drug. Rajanya Vangsha Dahanana Pavarga Virya Govinda Gopavanita Vrajabhrita Gita Tirtha Shrava Shravana Mangala Pahi Bhrityam Vrish. I want to send that to my friend Chandrasekhar. Okay. Sorry, I'm wasting your time. Madhukar's notes. There. Okay. O Krishna, O friend of Arjuna, O chief among the descendants of Vrishni, O destroyer of those kings that are disturbing elements on this earth, O Lord whose prowess never deteriorates, O Govinda, O Lord who gives pleasure to the ears by fame which purifies the universe, which is sung by Uddhav. Wait. O Lord who gives pleasure to the ears by the fame which purifies the universe, which is sung by Uddhav, the servant of the gopis of Vraj. O Lord, please protect your devotees. Sārārtha-darśinī. Worship of a portion of Krishna, the universal form, has been described. Now Krishna, the real object of worship, is introduced with a prayer. O friend of Arjuna, Krishna Saka. His affection for the Pandavas brought him under their control. O chief of the Vrishnis. His affection for the Vrishnis brought him under their control. What is implied here? O fire, destroyer of dynasties of kings who afflicted the earth. Or, you are the fire which arose by friction of clans. You destroyed the enemies of the Pandava and Yadus and protected them because of your affection. O Lord with undiminished strength, by such strength you made the Pandavas and Yadavas victorious. O Govinda, you are even more affectionate to the inhabitants of Raj. What does this mean? O Lord, who gives pleasure to the ears by the fame which purifies the universe, which is sung by Uddhav, the servant of the gopis. O Lord, who gives pleasure to the ears by the fame which purifies the universe, Tirtha, which is sung by Uddhav and consequently Shukadev, the servant of the gopis of Raj. Uddhav said, Asamaho charanarenu jushamahangsyam vrindavane kimapi golmalato shadhinam yadustyajam sajanamarya patang chahitva bhejur mukunda paravim shrutibhir vimrigyam. The gopis of Vrindavan have given up the association of their husbands, sons, and other family members who are very difficult to give up. And they have forsaken the path of chastity to take shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, Krishna, which one should search for by Vedic knowledge. Oh, let me be fortunate enough to be one of the bushes, creepers, or herbs in Vrindavan, because the gopis trample them and bless them with the dust of their lotus feet. It's a prayer from Uddhav in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 10:47-61. Drishtvavam adigopinam Krishna veshatma viklavam Uddhava parama pritas tanamasyan idam jago. Thus seeing how the gopis were always disturbed because of their total absorption in Krishna, Uddhav was supremely pleased. Desiring to offer them all respect, he sang as follows. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 10:47-57. There it is. Gopa Vanita Vrajabhritya Gita. That refers to Uddhav. He is the Gopa Vanita Vrajabhritya. He is the servant of the gopis, of the Gopas, wives of Raj. Servant, Gita, his song. That's so cool that Uddhav is referred to in that way. Huh. Okay. Next verse. Just checking the comments. Okay. Ya idam kalya uthaya mahapurusha lakshanam tachchitta prayato japtva brahma veda guhashayam. Anyone who rises early in the morning and with a purified mind chants this description of the universal form, the form of the Supreme Brahman, will realize Paramatma. Sārārtha-darśinī. Anyone who chants this description of the universal form, which is Brahman, will realize Paramatma, Guhashayam. Guha means cave, and Ashayam means who resides within, who takes shelter, who resides within the cave of one's heart. It's Paramatma, I think. Shri Shonaka Uvacha Shuko Yad Aha Bhagavan Viśvanātha Shrinvate Soro Gano Masi Nana Vasati Saptakaha Tesham Namani Karmani Niyuktanam Adishvarai Bruhina Shraddhananam Vyuham Suryatmano Hare. Shonak said, O Sutta, Shukadev explained to Parikshit about the seven associations of the sun god in the different months. Please describe to us who have great faith in your words, the different sets of 7 personal features and associates that the sun god exhibits during each month, along with their names and activities. The associates of the sun god who serve their Lord are expansions of the sun, who is a form of the Supreme Lord, and are engaged by the Lord in their service. Sārārtha-darśinī. You have explained to us the conversation of Shukadeva and Parikshit constituting the Bhagavatam, and after that, the story of Markandeya, our ancestor, and in answer to our request, a description of his method of worship. There is an example given of the sun comparing it to Krishna, the object of the Bhagavatam. Krishne swadhamapagate dharma jnana divi saha kalo nashta drisham esha puranarko dhunodita. This Bhagavat Puran is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his abode, accompanied by a religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. This is Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1.3.43. Krishna Dhumani Nimloche Girneshva Jagarenaha Kim nu na Kushalam Bruhyam Gata Shrishu Griheshvaham. My dear Vidura, the sun of the world, Lord Krishna, has set, and our house has now been swallowed by the great snake of time. What can I say to you about our welfare? That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 3.2.7. Because the sun has been mentioned, I should now have Sutta explain about the sun, the king of all planets, with 12 forms, at the time of completion of the Because the sun has been mentioned, I should now have Sutta explain about the sun, the king of all planets, with 12 forms, at the time of completion of the king of all Puranas, consisting of 12 volumes. Interesting. In this way, Shaunaka considered in his mind. In the 5th canto, it was said concerning the sun. Oh man, it's a long. Okay, let's do it. Tatanya cha rishayo gandharvapsaraso naga gramanyo yatu dhana deva ittekai kasho gana sapta chaturdasha masi bhagavantam suryam atmanam nana namanam prittang nana namana prittak karmabhir dvandvasha upasate. Which means, similarly, other sages, Gandharvas, Apsaras, Nagas, Yakshas, Rakshasas, and Devatas, in 14 groups in some months, and pairing up to make 7 groups in other months, assume different names every month, and continuously perform different ritualistic ceremonies to worship the Supreme Lord as Suryadev, who has many names. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 5.21.18. Adhishvarai means engaged by the Supreme Lord. What is the use of asking about the sun? Tell us about the expansions of the Lord whose form is the sun. Say, what is the use of asking about the sun? That's if Sutta asks that, then the sages respond, tell us about the expansions of the Lord whose form is the sun. Okay, because the sun is an expansion of the Lord. Yeah. I guess. I don't know. Okay. Sutta uvacha anadya vidyaya vishnur atmana sarvadehinam nirmito lokatantroyam lokeshu parivartate. Sutta Goswami said, the sun, created by Vishnu, the supersoul of all embodied beings, through his beginningless material energy, travels among all the planets, establishing the movements of the planets. Sārārtha-darśinī. One should not consider that the sun in the Bhagavatam, which is compared to Krishna, who has a spiritual body of eternity, knowledge, and bliss, is material. That is expressed in this verse. The sun has been created by Vishnu, the soul of all embodied beings. It is a form of his power or effulgence, created by his beginningless Maya. Thus, it is another Vibhuti. The sun establishes the movements of the planets, Lokatantra. Eka eva hi lokanam, surya atma dikrid dhari, sarva veda kriya mulam, rishibhir bahudhotitha. The Supreme Lord, the one soul of all the worlds and the original creator, is also the sun. He is the source of all the ritualistic activities prescribed in the Vedas and has been divided in 12 forms by the Vedic sages. Sārārtha-darśinī. The Lord, soul of the worlds and the creator, is the sun. The sun is said to have 12 forms. Kalo desha kriya karta, karanam karyamagama, dravyam phalam iti brahman, navadhokto jaya hari. O Shonaka, the Lord is described in 9 aspects: the time, the place, the endeavor, the performer, the instrument, the specific ritual, the mantras, the paraphernalia of worship, and the results to be achieved. Sārārtha-darśinī. The Lord not only takes many forms as a sun, but as time and other aspects, but as time and other aspects as well. He takes the form of time and other aspects as well to institute sacred action. Time refers to dawn and other times. Place refers to the sacrificial altar or other sacred places. Endeavor refers to the performance undertaken. The performer is the brahmana. The instrument is the suruk, the sacrificial ladle. The ritual is the sacrifice. The agama consists of the specific mantras for the rite. The materials are rice and other articles. The result is Svarga or other planets. Madhvadishu dvadashasu Bhagavan kalarupadrik lokatantraya charati pritag dvadashabhir ganai. The Supreme Lord, in the form of time, travels through the 12 months, beginning with Madhu, to regulate planetary motion within the universe. Traveling with the sun god in each of the 12 months is a different set of 6 associates. Sārārtha-darśinī. The Lord, in the form of time, which is equated with the sun, moves about to accomplish the movements of the planets. Dhata krita stali hetir vasuki ratakrin mune pulastyas tumburur iti madhumasam nayantyami. My dear sage, Dhata as the sun god, Kritastali as the Apsara, Heti as the Rakshasa, Vasuki as the Naga, Ratakrit as the Yaksha, Pulastya as the sage, and Tumburu as the Gandharva rule the month of Madhu. Sārārtha-darśinī. The question about the associates of the sun in different months is here answered. The 7 persons for Chaitra month are described first. Kritastali is the Apsara, Heti is the Rakshasa, Vasuki is the Naga, Ratakrit is the Yaksha, Pulastya is the sage, and Tamburu is the Gandharva. Okay, we're going through all the months now, huh? Aryama pulaho toja praheti punjikastali narada kachanirascha nayantete smamadhavam. Aryama as the sun god, Pulaha as a sage, Atoja as the yaksha, Praheti as the rakshasa, Punji Kastali as the apsara, Narad as the Gandharva, and Kachanira as the Naga rule the month of Madhav. Sārārtha-darśinī. Madhava means the Vaishak month. Wait, Vaishak is... Vaishak, I thought Vaishak was the first month. Huh. Let's just look at the months really quick, just so that we know what's going on. What should I type in? Maybe Chaitra, Chaitra Vaishak. Okay, I guess Chaitra is the first month. Okay, so these are the 12 months. And Chaitra is March, April. Okay, so March, April is Chaitra. Then May, June is, yeah, okay. Got it. Yep. Here. So Chaitra begins in March, Vaishak begins in April, Jyeshta begins in May, Ashad begins in June, like that. Okay. Oops, where are we? Okay. Sorry guys, I lost my spot. Dang it. Where are we? Sorry guys, that was... Okay, there. Alright, I went back too far. Okay, so Madhavam means Vaishak month. Aryama is a sun god, Pulaha is a sage, Atoja is a yaksha, Praheti is a rakshasa, Punji Kastali is a apsara, Narada is a Gandharva, and Kachanira is a naga. Okay. Mitra tri porusheyota takshako menaka haha ratasvanna iti yete shukramasam nayantyami. Mitra as a sun god, Atri as a sage, Paurusheya as the Rakshasa, Takshak as the Naga, Menaka as the Apsara, Haha as the Gandharva, I remember him, and Ratasvana as the Yaksha rule the month of Shukra, Sārārtha-darśinī. Shukra is the Jyeshta month, which is, Jyeshta begins in May. Mitra is a sun god, Atri is a sage, Purusheya is a Rakshasa, Takshaka is a Naga, Menaka is a Apsara, Haha is a Gandharva, and Ratasvana is the Yaksha. Vashishto Varuno Ramba Sahajanyastata Huhu Shukras Chitra Svanaschaiva Shuchi Masam Nayantyami. Vasishta as a sage, Varuna as a sun god, Ramba as the Apsara, Sahajanya as a Rakshasa, Huhu as a Gandharva, one's Haha and others Huhu, Shukra as the Naga, and Chitrasvana as the Yaksha rule the month of Shuchi, Sārārtha-darśinī. Shuchi is the Ashara month, that's June, right? Yeah. Vashishta is a sage, Varuna is a sun god, Ramba is the Apsara, Sahajanya is a Rakshasa, Huhu is the Gandharva, Shukra is the Naga, and Chitrasvana is the Yaksha. Indro Vishvavasu Shrota Ela Patra Statangira Pramlocha rakshaso varyo nabomasam nayantyami. Indra as a sun god, Vishvavasu as a Gandharva, Shrota as a Yaksha, Elapatra as a Naga, Angira as a sage, Pramlocha as the Apsara, and Varya as a Rakshasa rule the month of Nabhas, Sārārtha-darśinī. Nabha is the Shravan month. Is that July? I think so. Begins in July. Indra is the sun god, Vishvavasu is the Gandharva, Shrota is the Yaksha, Elapatra is the Naga, Angira is the sage, Pramlocha is the Apsara, and Varya is the Rakshasa. Vivasvan ugrasenascha Vyagra asarano brigo anum locha shankapalo nabasyakyam nayantyami. Vivasvan as the sun god, Ugrasena as the Gandharva, Vyagra as the Rakshasa, Asarana as the Yaksha, Bhrigu as the sage, Anum Locha as the Apsara, and Shankapala as the Naga rule the month of Nabhasya. Sārārtha-darśinī. Nabhasya is Bhadra month. Bhadra is August. It begins in August. Vivasvan is the sun god, Ugrasen is the Gandharva, Vyagra is the Rakshasa, Asarana is the Yaksha, Bhrigu is the sage, Anum Locha is the Apsara, and Shankapala is the Naga. Pusha Dhananjayo Vata, Sushena Shuruchistata, Gritachi Gautamascheti, Tapomasam Nayantyami. Pusha as the sun god, Dhananjaya as the Naga, Vata as the Rakshasa, Sushena as the Gandharva, Suruchi as the Yaksha, Gritachi as the Apsara, and Gautama as the sage rule the month of Tapas. Sārārtha-darśinī. Tapas is Magh month. Okay, yeah, Magh is like January, isn't it? So the months are not listed in sequence. Let's see, what is Magh? Magh is January. Yes, I was right. Pusha is the sun god, Dhananjaya is the Naga, Vata is the Rakshasa, Sushena is the Gandharva, Suruchi is the Yaksha, Gritachi is the Apsara, and Gautama is the sage. Ritur Varcha Bharadvaja Parjanya Senajit Tata Vishva Airavatashchaiva Tapasyakyam Nayantyami. Ritu as the Rakshasa, Varcha as the Rakshasa. Ritu as the Yaksha, Varcha as the Rakshasa, Bharadvaj as the sage, Parjanya as the sun god, Senajit as the Apsara, Vishva as the Gandharva, and Airavat as the Naga. Naga? Airavat? Really? They rule the month known as Tapasya. Sārārtha-darśinī. Tapasya means Falgun month. That's the month of Mahaprabhu. I think that begins in February. Right? So Ritu is the Yaksha, Varcha is the Rakshasa, Bharadvaj is the sage, Parjanya is the sun god, Senajit is the Apsara, Vishva is the Gandharva, and Airavat is the Naga. Atangshu kasyapash tarkshya ritasenas tator vishi Vidyuchatrur Mahashankha Saho Masam Nayantyami. Angshu is the sun god, Kashyapa is a sage, Tarkshya is the Yaksha, Ritasena is as the Gandharva, Urvashi as the Apsara, Vidyuchatru as a Rakshasa, and Mahashanka as a Naga rule the month of Sahas. Sārārtha-darśinī. Sahas means Margashirsha month. Okay, what's Margashirsha? Begins in November. Okay. Angshu is the sun god, Kashyapa is a sage, Tarksha is a Yaksha, Ritasena is the Gandharva, Urvashi is the Apsara, Vidyuchatru is the Rakshasa, and Mahashanka is the Naga. Bhagaspu. Oh my god, we're over time. Yikes. Oh, can we just finish this off? We're so close. I'm going to just quickly finish this off. Bhargaspurjo rishtane mir urna ayushcha panchama karkotaka purvachitti pushyamasam nayantami. Bhaga as a sun god, Spurja as a Rakshasa, Arishtanemi as a Gandharva, Urna as a Yaksha, Ayur as a sage, Karkotaka as a Naga, and Purvachitti as the Apsara rule the month of Pushya. Sārārtha-darśinī. Pushya means Posha month. Bhaga is the sun god, Spurja is the Rakshasa, Arishtanemi is the Gandharva, Urna is the Yaksha, Ayur is the sage, Karkotaka is the Naga, and Purvachitti is the Apsara. Tvashta Richika Tanaya Kambalas Chatilottama Brahma Peto Tasatajir Dhritarashtra Ishambhara. Tvashta as the sun god, Jamadagni as the son of Richika, as the sage, Kambalashva as the naga, Tilottama as the apsara, Brahmapeta as the rakshasa, Shatajit as the yaksha, and Dhritarashtra as a Gandharva maintain the month of Isha, Sārārtha-darśinī. Ishambara means the protectors of Ashvin month. Ashvin is September, begins in September. Tvashta is the sun god, Jamadagni, the son of Richika, is the sage. Kambalashva is the naga, Tilottama is the apsara, Brahmapeta is the rakshasa, Shatajit is the yaksha, and Dhritarashtra is the Gandharva. Vishnur Avshvataro Ramba Suryavarchas Satyajit Viśvamitro Makapeta Urjamasam Nayantyami. Vishnu as the sun god, Ashvatara as the naga, Ramba as the apsara, Suryavarcha as the Gandharva, Satyajit as the yaksha, Viśvamitra as the sage, and Makapeta as the rakshasa rule the month of Urja. Urja, we know Urja. Urjeshwari Shrimati Radhika Ki Jai. Urja means Kartik month. Vishnu is the sun god. Ashvatara is the naga. Ramba is the apsara. Suryavarcha is the Gandharva. Satyajit is the yaksha. Viśvamitra is the sage. And Makapeta is the rakshasa. Let me just check the comments if everybody's still sticking around. Oh, okay. Hari Bol, say Shri Mataji. What month are we in now? We are in, I guess we are in Shravan month? Or is Shravan month beginning soon? I don't know, I'll have to look. Yeah. I think so. Anyways, let's continue on. Eta Bhagavato Vishnur Adittasya Vibhutyaya Smaratam Sandhyayor Nrinam Harantyam Ho Dine Dine. All these personalities are the Vibhutis of the Supreme Lord Vishnu in the form of the sun god. These deities take away all the sinful reactions of those who remember them each day at dawn and sunset. Dvadasha svapi maseshu devo so sharbirasya vai charan samantad tanute paratreha chasanmatim. Thus, throughout the 12 months, the sun travels in all directions with his 6 types of associates, disseminating among the inhabitants of this universe purity of consciousness for both this life and the next. Disseminating among the inhabitants purity of consciousness. Interesting. Sārārtha-darśinī. Thus, the sun travels with his associates, who are his vibhutis. Samargyajurbhistallingair rishaya sangstuvantyamun gandharvastam pragayanti nrityantyapsaraso grata. Unhayanti ratam naga gramanyo ratayo jaka chodayanti ratam prishte narita balashalina. While the sages glorify the sun god with the hymns of the Sama, Rig, and Yajur Vedas, which reveal his identity, the Gandharvas sing his praises and the Apsaras dance before his chariot. The Gandharvas also sing his praises. Yeah. The Nagas bind the chariot firmly, and the Yakshas harness the horses to the chariots, while the powerful Rakshasas push from behind. They all have their function. Sārārtha-darśinī. This describes the actions of the 6 associates. Ta-lingai means by Vedic verses which reveal the sun. The Nagas bind the chariot firmly. The Yakshas connect the chariot to the horses. The Rakshasas push it with force. Valakilya sahasrani shashtir brahmarshayo mala purato bhimukam yanti stuvanti stutibir vibhum. Facing the chariots, the 60,000 Brahmin sages, known as Valakilyas, travel in front, and they offer prayers to the Almighty Sun God with Vedic mantras. Okay, this is the last verse of this chapter. Thanks for letting me go way over time. Evam hyanadi nidhano bhagavan haririshvara kalpe kalpe samatmanam vyuhya lokan avatyaja. For the protection of all the worlds, the unborn Supreme Lord, without beginning or end, thus expands himself during each day of Brahma and protects the worlds. Sārārtha-darśinī. Vyuhya means dividing up. Thus ends the commentary on the 11th chapter of the 12th canto of the Bhagavatam for the pleasure of the devotees in accordance with the previous acharyas. All right, so we only have 2 chapters of the Bhagavatam left. Yeah, we're super close to the end now. So, everybody left. Oh well, I'm so sorry for going so over time, but thank you for sticking around, those of you who stayed. And yeah, we only have 2 more days of reading left. That's really exciting, because then we'll move on to Chaitanya Bhagavat. All right, I'm not going to do Jagannath Ashtakam today, just because it's so late. But if you'd like, you can sing it on your own. And yeah, I'll just do a quick Jaidvani. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Shri Gurudev ki jai, Jai Shri Param Gurudev ki jai, Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Rupa Nugagoriya Guru Varga ki jai, Swaparshad Shri Gaur Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopal Gopikan ki jai, Shri Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai, Shri Bhakti Devi ki jai, Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya ki jai, Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyaya Keshavashacha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyavataya Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sandubhyayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat pranams, everybody. So, tomorrow is Hera Panchami. Yeah, so maybe I will read for Hera Panchami tomorrow and Vikeshwar Pandit. And the day after that, we will do like the weekly Chaitanya Bhagavat thing, so I'll move it over one day. And then we will finish Bhagavatam. Then we'll have 2 more days. Then that means that right now there's going to be 2 days of other readings, then 1 day, then the 2 last days of Bhagavatam. I hope that is all. If you like that plan, I just thought of it right now. So yeah, let me know what you think. All right, everybody. See you all tomorrow.